So I'm getting used to the blonde.
Yeah.
But the wet blonde right now, I gotta be honest, it's throwing me.
Okay. Why?
You look like Aaron Carter, my love. It's freaking me out.
Before the meth or after the meth?
'Cause I want it that
That's not Aaron Carter.
way.
Roll the music. She doesn't even know who she's talking about. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. Roll the music, Rick.
Ain't nothing but...
That's Nick Carter, who was in Backstreet Boys. Thank you very much.
Maybe you look a little bit like him, too. Welcome to I
one
Think Not
Aaron
Everyone
Carter
podcast,
song.
where
Name it.
we mix our metaphors and our boy band.
Name them. Name one Aaron Carter song.
I was an NSYNC girly. I will die on that hill. NSYNC far more superior than Backstreet Boys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to I Think Not, the podcast where Ellen Marie Marsh, across from me with these beautiful doe eyes and beautiful bangs and long, luxurious hair, sits across from me, insults my hair, but also discusses true crime with me. I love you all. I'm cutting this ADHD rant off before it goes any further with you.
Welcome to I Think Not, where apparently Joey does the introductions now. I'm Ellen Marsh, that's Joey Taranto, and we recap your true crime TV shows, maybe for the last time.
No.
Who's to say?
I love you so much. Your makeup looks beautiful, by the way. You're glowing.
Thanks, baby. I think it's the Korean skincare.
You look very pretty.
I thought you were about to say you look very Korean.
No.
I will take their skincare. Why are they so good at skincare?
I don't know, but whatever they're doing, Hey, Korea, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, North Korea, you could make some changes, but South Korea, keep doing what
There's like influencers on TikTok. They're like, hi, my name is Shay. I'm 72. They look like they're 21. Give it to me. Give it to me. Whatever it is, give it to me.
Yeah, give it to me. For those of you who've never listened to our show before, welcome and buckle up, because this is what it's like to be here.
It doesn't get any better than this. We would like to say you've caught us on an off day. You have not. It's just a day. And we're here recapping everything we just said we were recapping. I've already said it. If you would like more of this nonsense, however, and maybe you do, and in which case, also call your therapist. We are on Patreon. That is right. For as little as $5 a month, you too can get 4 bonus episodes a month. 3 of what we're covering over there, which right now is How I Caught My Killer, a great series on Hulu, and also a true crime adjacent show, which in the past has been Love After Lockup, but right now, it's our favorite, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Turns out, many secrets. Yeah, we also have lots of community events. You can come do our quarterly paint party with us. You can also come to our monthly watch parties. There's lots of things to do. We love having you all here. We like to hug you, whether it's virtually or in person. And our Patreon's a great way to connect with other DBs.
That's right. And right now, our beautiful Blue Eyes is over in Los Angeles, packing up your subscription merch boxes one at a time, filled with all kinds of gay rage. How is it going over there, baby?
Okay, so I was told, I know, but bear with us, okay? We're gonna get to the episode, but I was told you have to watch Yellow Jackets, and I'd been meaning to watch it, and so I've started from the beginning, and I have to tell you, I am locked in. It speaks to my soul. Anything with Christina Ricci and Juliette Lewis, I'm in. But I've just been packing and watching the episodes, and I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, I could do this all day, every day.
Well, you heard it here. So whatever gets messed up, please email Joey Taranto and Christina Ricci. On to the episode. We are smack dab in the middle of our coverage of a fantastic show that is based on a podcast, which what could be better than that, called Scam Goddess, with the beautiful podcaster, comedian Laci Mosley. So let's carry on with season 1, episode 3, The Gig City Grift.
They call me Scam Goddess. Welcome to my world.
Well, we're in Opelika, Alabama, which has a population of 32,000, and it looks like one giant Cracker Barrel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, American flags everywhere, rocking chairs on the front porch, and biscuits smothered in gravy that will make you regret being alive tomorrow.
And sweet tea, honey.
Yes.
Laci starts the episode by telling us,
I'm a girl who loves a fast car, a dirty martini, and a good scam.
I texted Brian Yusufer this morning because, when we were out of town in Kinky Boots, one night I decided that I drank dirty martinis.
Nice. And how did that go for you?
Really not well. It did not go well, and it was probably the last time I got really, really drunk here on this earth. And I texted Brian Yusufer and I said,
tell the folks who Brian Yusufer is to us.
Brian Yusufer was our music director for Kinky Boots, and he's done a bunch of other projects that you and I have worked on over the years. I said, do you remember the night at Miller's? We thought dirty martinis were a good idea, and he wrote, oh, yes. And then he wrote, I paid with my card, and everyone gave me cash. And he sent me this picture that he still has in his camera roll. If you're not on YouTube, you'll see it on YouTube. He said, I took this picture and sent it to Will and said, what the fuck is this for? Dirty martini's never a good idea if you're not a dirty martini gal. I was for one night and one night only.
Yeah, I don't need to see you drunk, my love. I've seen you high. So in Opelika, we're also told that everyone knows everyone and everyone will help you out if you need it. And I want to know how far they're willing to go, because if I'm like, oh, hey, Mabel, listen, I need some help. I broke my fingers in a fisting accident. Would you give me a hand and help me shave my nuts? I'll crack open a bottle of Merlot, put on some buble, but can you help me with my nuts?
Apparently, they'll say yes.
Also, if you love fried green tomatoes, you will love this town because it's an old railroad town, just like Whistle Stop.
You didn't kill Ed now, did you? Not yet.
One of the saddest movies I've ever seen in my life and will continue to be one of the saddest movies I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. That movie gets me every time. When I met Connie Schulman, when I did Rose Tattoo with her, that was probably the second question I asked her.
Yeah.
I was like, is that what you get known for the most? She's like, maybe, Ellen. I should call her one of these days. They say if you have a flat tire in Opelika, someone is going to stop, to which I say, please don't. Because I'm just going to think you're a murderer. Don't waste your time. Don't stop on the side of the road. I'm going to scream. I'm going to run the other way. And then there's just going to be a lot of people screaming, don't.
Well, our story in Opelika starts in 2008 when the housing crisis hit, right? Everyone was struggling. They didn't know what to do. Every town was trying to bounce back. And the mayor of this town said, we got to do something. Well, they said, what if we became the Silicon Valley of the South? Let's invest in the internet. We are going to get high-speed fiber optics, which allows folks to download data at speeds of 1 gigabyte per second, and I'm sure that means something to someone somewhere.
That is a lot of gigabytes and not a lot of seconds. That's what I know about it. I know a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Joy.
I don't know much about gigabytes or high-speed fiber, but I do know that I don't like to wait too long to download my clips of Joyce Meyer, because where else can I get a dose of biblical knowledge served up by a woman who looks like she's starring on every episode of Botched? Only on the internet. High-fiber internet.
Well, enter Kyle Sandler, an ex-Google executive. Well, Laci shows up in this town because she's always going to be boots to the ground, even if her boots are a pair of red stiletto high heels. We love a woman who is ready to take a town by storm, and Opelika is no different. And this is what I love about Laci. She's going to get in there and she's going to meet the people. And where else would you go besides a bar, which she's gone to, and a coffee shop?
Yeah, she does. I mean, it's a great way to mingle with the folks. And guess what? Everyone in this town knows who Kyle Sandler is, because Kyle told this town he was going to help them. Not just help them, but put them on the map.
Oddly, they all know Kyle's mom as well.
Oh, who's Kyle's mom?
Seriously?
Kyle's mom's a bitch, she's a big fat witch, she's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world. She's a stupid bitch, and everyone's a bitch, she's a bitch to all the boys and girls. Shut your fucking mouth, Carmen!
Oh, yes. Got it. Yes. Yeah. The lore.
The lore of Kyle's mom. And here's the thing about Opelika. Kyle came in with a lot of really big ideas, and people were excited about his ideas. This was going to help the city. This was going to bring people to Opelika because this guy knew what he was talking about. He worked at Google, and then he had a bunch of Google shares, and he optioned those and optioned the stocks and got the dividends, and Now he's rich, and where else would he go besides Alabama?
The Roundhouse was the start of the city's first co-working space, an incubator, and its goal was to help startup companies grow their business ideas. It makes total sense that people in this town welcomed Kyle.
Now I have to stop. My ADHD, I have to do this. Do you remember the show on Nickelodeon?
The one I wanted to be on? That I was like, that was a dream of mine. Down at the Roundhouse. Yeah, I wanted to be on that show.
So did I, and Crystal Lewis, who is one of my all-time favorite gospel singers who I've met, was on that show. And they used to always do this. Roll the credits.
Whenever my life gets me so down, I know I can go down to where the music and the fun never ends. As long as the music keeps playing,
You know what I'm saying?
I know that I can find a friend. At the Roundhouse.
I mean, it's end credits, but it was such a bop. Those kids were fucking singing. Well, Kyle decided to start his own version of the Roundhouse, and the point of the Roundhouse was to help small startups grow their businesses, as well as entice entrepreneurs from all over the country to come to this small town of Opelika. What the fuck did I say? Opelika, right?
Opelika. Now you're making me second guess. Opelika.
Yeah, to come to Opelika and give it a try.
And Emily Boz? It's spelled B-A-A-S. It makes me want to say Bass. What is it? Emily Bass.
Baramu.
She was a former employee, and I gotta say, it kind of sounded like a really amazing place to work. It's sort of like a WeWork space, but also a think tank. So there's a bunch of people there trying to achieve the same business goals, people who are interested in investing in companies and who just want to be a part of this new scene. I mean, any place that has started up like that, even my hometown, Oakland had a major boom during the .com thing in like the early 2000s when everyone was sort of forced out of San Francisco. So there are big cities who have experienced this kind of radicalized boom of innovation and just new, young, cool things happening. It kind of sounded like a really great idea. And there were snacks.
There were snacks. I mean, listen, there were only something like 7 cities that had this kind of essentially high-speed internet, right? So another local business owner is here, and she's like,
He mingled. You could see him in all the businesses in Opelika.
I've heard he's very social.
He was like, you knew he was there.
That is the nicest way I've heard somebody say it, obnoxious.
he always had like a little entourage with him wherever he went, and he also spoke in buzzwords, right? He was like, talking G2X and HTC Sensation and EKG and TLC and LMNOP and LGBTQ Mafia. I don't know, just everything.
BRB
like, what the fuck?
and PYT and LMAO. What are the kids? LOLLMAO.
Yes, BBQ. I mean, the point is that the folks in this town were very impressed by him. And also, they say this a lot on the show, so I don't feel like I'm overreaching by saying this. The town of Opelika was a very trusting town.
Yeah, all these places that we've covered they're sort of middle America, hardworking people. Look out for your neighbor. We joke and we say we don't want to ever live in a small town, but it's actually really cool. And people wanting everyone to succeed because it would elevate the town. Oh, if we get this really cool startup going, more people want to come here. That will generate better real estate money, that will generate maybe tourism. It's exciting for a town like Opelika to have this kind of an opportunity. And then to hear this big guy, Google, coming in from Google, using all these fancy words. We always say it. It's a very fake it till you make it type of thing. And Kyle kind of had that zazazoo that kind of fooled everyone.
Yeah, I mean, the man always was walking around town with 2 phones in his hands. He drove a Porsche. He drove all kinds of fancy cars. He presented himself as this wealthy, brilliant Silicon Valley guy who was now in their small town, and they would reap the benefits of it, right? So, I think about this too, and they do throw the word naive around, but what I want to say is I think that these folks were like, I wouldn't imagine him coming into our town and doing something bad because we don't think like that. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing with me. I'm shocked every fucking episode that we do true crime. still shocked because it doesn't occur to me to hurt people. But there are people out there who don't think twice about hurting people.
Yeah. But you have a really good radar for bullshit. Like, Joey owns the domain sus.com. He bought it, he owns it, and it's just when you open it, it's just a picture of him with like a spectacle. And there's nothing on it. He's just sus.com at all times.
You will feel me keep you at arm's length if there's something off to me.
I trust your picker more than my picker, the bullshit picker. I'm like, Joey, is this real or is this fake? Even in this episode, you guys, wait till the end.
So Kyle went to all the local businesses and he said, hey, if you invest in Roundhouse, I can make you a lot of money. And folks had no reason to not believe him.
Including the town exterminator, a restaurant owner, and the head of Opelika's economic department. That one's ironic.
I definitely see how he thought that this would be a wealth of resources.
The folks at this town were excited. He got them galvanized behind him.
Oh, totally. Well, not Nathan at the dry cleaners.
No.
Because Laci swings by Nathan at the dry cleaners, and he's like, oh, yeah, I knew him. Kyle sent one of his people down to try and get some money out of me. Funny thing is, I don't have any money to give. And Laci was like, good thing for you. Good.
Yeah.
You had nothing to give him. Nathan didn't invest, but there were plenty of other unsuspecting people of Opelika that definitely had some coins to throw at Kyle for sure.
It's true. Well, our host Laci sits down with Emily Boss, and she explains how she got swept up in this sort of nonsense, right? Now, Emily had a degree in entrepreneurship. Is that a thing? Is it like basically like a business degree?
I have no idea. There are so many degrees. Like, you sit down, they're like, welcome to entrepreneurship. First, you want to make a business card, then I guess a website. I don't know, but if there's a major called entrepreneurialism, she got the degree.
She did. I was like, are you sure it's not just a business degree? Anyway, she heard about Kyle's Roundhouse startup, co-working tech space with the fiber internet, right? And she's like, literally, this is what I'm made for. I am built for this. So she met with Kyle. He hired her on the spot with the title of community director. And basically, he said, those tech companies out in Silicon Valley, they're bleeding money. And what we can do is pluck them, bring them here, entice them with, the small town living, the cost of living is so low. There's so much potential for growth. And basically, Emily became Kyle's right-hand woman.
And sort of the face of the company.
Kyle told me, you're gonna sit at the front of the building, you're gonna be the face when someone walks in, and you're gonna make them feel welcome. And you're gonna find out what they need to succeed.
And she was really excited. She's like, I didn't think an entrepreneurialism or entrepreneurial degree had many options. Turns out this is it, and I'm going to be great at it. She was so excited.
I'm going to double down and say that it was a business degree and that they're throwing a degree in entrepreneur. It's so weird. It's like saying I have a degree in mud when really your degree is in horticulture. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I once met a woman who had a degree in glass. Ask me how I met her.
Because you were smoking out of it? You were smoking meth out of it?
I was making an ornament.
You got glass? I got some meth, and I need to smoke it down. You glass? PhD in glass? Let's smoke this shit. Come on. This is Oakland. We like two things.
What are the two?
We like tech and we like meth. Sometimes at the same time. Let's go. Sell me that glass. You got a degree in glass. All right.
I was in Beacon, New York, making a glass ornament, learning how to blow my own glass. That sounds like a euphemism. It's not.
It does.
And she was like, yeah, when I was in college. And I said, oh, what did you study? And she said, glass. I was like, carry on.
So weird. I mean, good for her.
And so Emily was really excited to start working at Roundhouse. And she was like, I got my pens, I got my Post-its, I got my laptop. What do we do here? And basically, Emily goes on to explain that they sold the people spaces or rented spaces, kind of like a WeWork. You could get a little office space, you could get a cubicle, or you could get an incubator space. Now, I don't know shit about Nick about incubator anything unless it has to do with a NICU baby. Lola was in an incubator when she had jaundice. I don't know what the shit an incubator space is.
All I know about it is I think it's what Lady Gaga showed up at the Grammys
At
in
one
that
time
one
or
time.
another, that or the meat
Yeah.
suit. I can't remember. But luckily, Lacey's a goddamn idiot, too. She's like, an incubator, what? Thank you, Laci.
The incubator was to get companies that had a great idea and they can't do it on their own.
Yeah. Kind of gives me like Shark Tank vibes.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
Basically, you bring your ideas to Roundhouse. They're like, great, that sounds like an idea for a piece of the company. We'll give you all of this space. Don't forget the snacks. We got the Cheez-Its over there. And we'll also give you the resources and the marketing and the boost and the leverage and all the other buzzwords that you need to get your business running. And you just kick a little bit back to me. The access that they had was huge, like a development team, a marketing team. We'll just take an itty-bitty piece of your earnings. Did you ever watch the Shark Tank?
My ex-fiance was very into it.
I love it.
Mr. Wonderful's a dick.
Oh, they're the worst. I love it when they're like, so we made $3 million last year, but we're looking to expand. We're looking for a $1 million investment in return for 5% revenue. And the sharks are like, great idea. I'll give you $500,000 for 65% of your company. And they're like, no, we already have a company. We make good money. We just need some money to expand. They're like, just kidding. Just went down to $250,000 for 72% of the company. This doesn't feel like it's going my way.
Also, how do they have so many businesses? Like, how do you run that many businesses?
I don't think a fraction of those businesses actually take off or they leverage what publicity they get. I don't know.
I would be like, hi, sharks. I'm here selling roll your own tampons. We made $5 million last year and we're looking for $1 million for 5%. Just kidding. I'm here to punch Mr. Wonderful in the face and then just break his nose. That's it. He's a dick.
The worst, the reasons they give for being out, they're like, I don't know, this seems like really great. You seem like a really great guy, but you walked in here wearing New Balance sneakers, and for that reason, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird.
Can you really quickly pitch me your pitch for Shark Tank, and I'll give you my shark response?
Yeah. Hi, sharks. I'm here selling banana-flavored poppers for the gay community. We last year made $2 million, and we are looking for $1 million investment with 10% stake in the company. What you think?
I'm so sorry, I wasn't paying attention. For that reason, I'm out.
Thank you. Anyone else? But the thing is that you have to understand that in this small town, this was all very exciting. There was so much buzz, and people really got swept up in it.
He was taking investments for a piece of the Roundhouse who had equity in all these different companies. When one of these has an exit, everyone gets paid.
Does that make sense?
To me?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched the show.
It took me a second because I do not have a mind for that kind of business.
I don't either. It's a very like community-esque, if you win, we all win sort of kumbaya. I'm sure there are businesses that work in a successful manner like that. I just don't know a lot of business stuff. I just knew they had snacks. However, that is a huge thing. Have you ever toured spaces like Pixar or Google or...
Babe, we went to Netflix together.
Yeah. What, were you at Netflix, my love? Tell the people what you were doing while we were at Netflix.
I was hanging with my friend and getting good time in. I was uploading a self-tape.
Our dear friend was an executive at Netflix for a really long time, and he took us on a tour of the facility. This facility is unlike anything you've ever seen. Talk about snacks. They had like poke bowls and free... Did you leave your headset at home? Here, take some iPods. It was wild. But places like that want you to feel at home and taken care of. I was at Pixar visiting my friend, and they have a beach volleyball court and a nap room and a sauna because they want you to feel appreciated. That's part of it. You want to work a 14-hour day? That's amazing. Take a nap for 2 hours, then come back and work another 12-hour day. But a small place like Opelika had not seen the likes of this kind of energy and this kind of innovation. Everything that Kyle laid out, everyone gobbled it up.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you invest in Roundhouse. One of the businesses we have invested in, they're going to take off. So you're guaranteed to make money, right? Now, right-hand woman Emily comes back to say, let me tell you, the environment was incredible. Folks were excited. There was so much buzz. You know, we were getting up to 6 pitches a day for business ideas. Meanwhile, people were flying in from other cities to check them out. Even John McAfee. It took me a second to recognize that name, but he developed a security program for computers that almost everyone had. Y'all know who he is. He's a very strange man.
The one who developed the virus and then developed the software to combat the virus that he started.
I didn't know he did that.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
real?
It was a huge scam. The virus that John McAfee helped to create to combat is to combat the virus that he himself created. It was a huge scam.
I had no idea.
Yeah, we'll cover an episode where I just tell you about the McAfee scam. I'm sure there's a documentary about it.
Holy shit. Well, basically, I think that John McAfee hanging out at this startup really legitimized Roundhouse to the world.
And there were so many other cool things going on in the city. There was this young entrepreneurship middle school program that Kyle mentored at. And there was this young boy named Taylor who was 14 years old, and he invented something really cool.
Our next guest is a 14-year-old young man from Alabama, and he invented a vending machine for first aid products.
So he developed this first aid vending machine, and this essentially made this little boy's dreams come true. It went national, he got all this press, and then Kyle is the big hero because Kyle is the one that mentored him through this process.
So basically, Kyle has made a huge splash in this town, right? So much so that the mayor named a day after him. They had Kyle Sandler Day.
Named a day.
That mayor was all in. You know, I mean, he really did see a major opportunity for Opelika with Kyle, and he wasn't gonna miss it. But here's the thing. Folks started becoming suspicious. Tell them why, Ellen.
Emily's like, hey, knock, knock, knock. Does anyone want to pay the electric bill? Knock, knock, knock. Anyone want to pay the Wi-Fi bill? Why does no one want to pay bills? Why is it always the first thing that people start doing is stop paying the bills? They all just stop paying bills. They're just going to keep on coming. In the grand master plan of scammers, they need to change this part. You can't not pay your bills. And then when the bill collectors were coming around, so were the investors. And they were coming back being like, knock, knock, knock. Was there any return on that investment that I made? Knock, knock, knock. I don't understand how the basic fundamental things are the first things to get ignored, you know?
I think people just get greedy and they think that they're untouchable. Well, you're not. The problem is that investors were calling, and Emily is one of the faces of the company. She's known as Kyle's right-hand woman. So she's fielding these calls, scheduling meetings on Kyle's behalf with these investors, and then Kyle would blow them off. So it looked really sketchy. But Emily, she was on him. She's like, Kyle, you gotta pay these bills, and you cannot blow off your investors. This is your bread and butter. And Kyle would get annoyed. You know, he said to Emily, it's fine, I'll buy the investors out. And slowly but surely, Kyle started being gone a lot. That snack bar at Roundhouse, it was empty.
You heard about Martha in accounting?
Yeah.
She was like, Kyle, there's not been a Nature Valley granola bar in the snack bar for 7 weeks, let alone any of those little Welch's fruit snacks that are like, what the
shit is
going on here, Kyle?
That's right. You don't get me a bag of Smart Pop soon, you're going to get a whole foot in your ass. So it was all that. The electric bill wasn't getting paid, but then employees of Roundhouse, they were not getting paid at all.
Then he really invested in Audacity stocks.
Hey, I need you to go write a check for yourself and I'll pay you back, because he had a big annuity that he got every year for his birthday. That's his Google money.
And she was like, what I think you need to do is get your shit together, because I am not a personal bank. I work for you. And he's like, no. Look at my yearly annuities from Google. I have this in Fidelity. And he starts showing her all these papers. Well, Emily is in there with another unnamed associate. And that associate was like, I know I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. I just saw you photoshopping that over in the corner with Carol from social media marketing while she was eating animal crackers in the corner. You just photoshopped that. Those aren't real statements. He's like, oops. This room temperature IQ motherfucker was trying to completely bamboozle them in front of their face. He's pointing and clicking in the corner.
Yeah, that's how I know he got super sloppy and also became super delusional because he thought he was not going to get caught. To Photoshop a Fidelity bank statement while people are within bird's eye view of you, it's literally insane. So in that moment, that's when it dawned on Emily that, oh fuck, Kyle and his whole existence is bullshit.
And Kyle realizes he's kind of caught, and he doesn't really offer Emily or the employees any other explanation other than, I'm sorry. And Emily's sitting there holding the bills and the payroll that she can't pay. And she's like, I work for a company that is not able to deliver on any of their promises. This dude is a thief. And all of these people, including little 14-year-old Taylor, they're all victim of this massive scam.
Yeah.
The next day, he gathers us all around and he's like, I'm closing the doors. I've made a mistake. I've messed up. And he just said he was sorry.
And then he just leaves town. Now, here's the thing you need to know. Kyle raised a lot of money, way more money than folks realize. So you would think that somebody who starts a business is like, I'm going to keep 51% for myself because I want to be the primary shareholder. And then I'm going to sell the other 49% to investors, right? Well, guess what? Kyle just kept selling investors shares that did not exist. And the reason he was able to do that is that no one was keeping track of it. And here's the thing, that money that he raised, he was not putting it in the business, in any business. He was spending that money on himself. And we're talking almost $2 million. And surprise to no one, that check that Emily cut for Kyle that he promised to pay her back, he didn't pay her back.
Nope. Now, people in Opelika are hearing about this. Naturally, they want answers. And nobody asked the questions ahead of time. Enter Tyra Jackson, a local reporter for the Opelika Gazette. I don't know, something. The Opelika Times, the Opelika Sun.
Auburn News.
Yeah. She started to uncover a lot of Kyle's past, which, again...
Now, before we get there, I don't mean to cut you off, but I got some things to say.
I feel like I know where you're going with this.
I hate to do this, but there's a crime that's right in front of our faces that we are not discussing.
I know. Speak to it.
And it demands attention, and that is Miss Tyra's eyebrows.
I knew it.
Parker, please put up a screen grab of those eyebrows. Here you go. Okay. Okay. Honey, a Sharpie is for signing autographs, not for painting on your eyebrows. She looked like she used a stencil of Jafar's eyebrows to paint this shit on. If these eyebrows could talk, they would sing, less is more when it comes to your eyebrows, people. If I were standing in front of this woman, I couldn't look her in the eyes. Is this scam goddess or is this the nightmare before Christmas? Anyway, go on with your story, Ellen.
I'm glad you got that off your chest, baby.
Thank you.
Well, Laci sits down with Tyra, and basically Tyra explains that she got an anonymous tip from people at Roundhouse saying, he hasn't paid us. We've heard this bitch has indictments for fraud in several states. And then we heard that he was like a DJ for weddings and he would take the deposit and not show up. Could you imagine hiring someone? Let's not even say for a wedding. It could be for a party, for a sweet 16, for an engagement, for a mitzvah, both bar and bot, whatever. And the DJ doesn't show up. And then all of a sudden your Uncle Bruce pops up with his Spotify playlist, which is just a bunch of yacht rock songs. He's like, I'll save the day. Thanks, Uncle Bruce. And it's like, sailing takes me away. Could you imagine not having a DJ at an event that you wanted a DJ at? It doesn't matter what the hell it is.
I would be very upset. I'd be like, well, at least I know that now that's what I call music editions 1 through 550 CD collection is out there somewhere. They do come in handy in a pitch. Yeah, it's crazy. So reporter Tyra gets all this information and she's like,
I'm starting to paint a picture. This guy works for Google. People are saying he's not doing right with business. I contacted Google.
So she writes that email and it says, hey, y'all.
Write that email, girl.
This is an e-mall. It's a mall. It's a mall where everybody's on E. Everybody. Everyone at the Hot Topic. Everyone at the Swenson's ice cream shop. Everyone's on E. You can get jeans and a massage. Okay, so... So Tyra emails Google and she's like, hey, y'all know a Kyle Sandler? Honey, Google replied with a swiftness to say, we don't know this man. We don't want to know this man. Good luck with your project.
Yeah. Tyra goes right to the source, and she goes right to Kyle and asks him questions. Did you do this shit? So she gets Kyle on the phone, and she's like, listen, I know he's about to catch on that I'm a reporter. I don't have time. I need to get to the heart of the matter because it's the heart that matters more. Counting Crows told us that.
Little America, get it right to the heart of matters.
So she comes out and says, were you ever arrested for fraud? Now, I love it when people's answers include two things. I love it when people answer a question with a question, and then I love it when people answer a question with a non-answer. Did you commit fraud? And he goes, I did community service. Tyra's like, happy for you. Happy for the litter on the side of the road. Not my question. Were you charged with fraud?
And eventually he says yes. But what he didn't tell Tyra was that the FBI was investigating him and Roundhouse. And that's the real reason that he closed up shop that day and said, goodbye, I'm out of here. Kyle was a wanted man, and he was on the lam for 18 months. But then fast forward to some body cam footage of Kyle being arrested.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
That's right. He was found in Texas and extradited back to Alabama. He basically says, I did a bad thing, but I'm not a bad guy. Okay, babe, tell it to the judge and Laci Mosley and whoever else you want. And here's the thing. He says that, right? We see him on police interviews saying, you know, I'm not a bad guy. I did a bad thing. And I just want to know if you're going to fess up for that bad thing and make amends for that bad thing and pay the people back for that bad thing that you did. But when you're running and when you're trying to hide
Deep in the heart of Texas,
methinks you know you did a bad thing and you're trying to get away with that bad thing. You see where we get caught in a little kind of tussle right there?
Man charged in a scam that defrauded over $1.9 million, appearing in court this week, physically shaking. In court, Sandler was quoted as saying, I'm disgusted with myself.
Not nearly as disgusted as we are with you. But he was given 6 years in prison with 5 months of probation. But in 2022, Kyle was released after serving only 4 years. Now, our host Laci is like, I want to sit down and look in this man's eyes and have a chat with him. Do you think you could do that?
You know, it's interesting. Yes, I do. And I was really excited to see Laci do this because she's such a badass. But even though Laci has made this a career reporting on scammers, it's not every day that she gets to sit face to face with them. And she admits she's a little nervous. And I would agree. At the beginning of the interview, I found her to be a little off of her game. But then she kind of got in the groove, and you could tell she was very emotional sitting there with him because here she was, she ingratiates herself in all of these towns where these crimes have been committed. And so far, they've really affected multiple people. And she sits and she looks into these people's eyes and she goes into some of these people's homes. And you can see how viscerally she's affected by it. So you see her in the beginning. Didn't you feel kind of her nervous energy? Because you don't want him to get up and leave. So you can't pounce on him. So I think she does a really brilliant dance when she sits down of disarming him and then kind of going in for the kill. I think I would actually be like Laci. I think I would be a little scared at first. And then I feel like once she had him, she really went in. I thought she did a great job on this part of the interview.
Yeah, she did. And I was actually shocked that Kyle agreed to sit down and chat with her. And basically, he's like, I just wanted to tell my side of the story, you know? And so Laci asks, like, when you looked at a place like Opelika, right? Did you see kind people who wanted to give you an opportunity to better their town? Or did you get there and you looked around and saw a bunch of suckers? And he says, well, you know, No, I came into this with the best of intentions. Like, I actually was excited because I did see an opportunity. Unfortunately, my excitement got out of hand because it shifted at some point, you know?
Yeah, and she gets him a lot. She sits down and she's like, you know I'm not on your side, right? Which I think is a really great way to start off. And she asks him a question, and she said, you lied about working at Google. And he started his sentence with, the truth of the matter is, I was like, baby, the truth sailed away on the Mayflower. Harry Potter couldn't summon that truth from Narnia or whatever. Don't be trying to conjure the truth now. And so he kind of speaks in half sentences and half truths, and then I think she really chisels at him.
I had a bulk of the money in the bank. That's when people were getting really excited, and they were just writing me checks, and I didn't want to tell anybody no. Part of it was an ego thing.
Ego in what way?
Look at all this, I got all this money.
And Laci's like, that's stealing.
Right. What I want to say, too, is because they talk a lot about this town being trusting and, like, they just accepted that he worked at Google. He had pictures of him at Google because he did work events at Google. And those pictures were up and around. They were on his Facebook. They were on his social media. So people were like, oh, here's these pictures. I don't need to Google it because here's the visual proof.
Baby, I was on the Today Show a couple of times with Broadway shows here and there, maybe 3 times in my life. I don't work at the Today Show, but I have pictures on the Today Show set, but I don't work there. Just because you catered at Per Se doesn't mean you work at Per Se. I also think it was fascinating. Here's this slug of a man, and he is hunched over. He has no gravitas whatsoever. He's sitting down with this beautiful black woman. She is sitting. She is composed, even though I know she's very nervous. And every time this man tries to take a left turn, Laci has taken 3 right turns to meet him right there in his face. Anytime he diverts from the story, Laci is right there with a but. I honestly think she handled this interview brilliantly because he does try and double speak her several times.
Yep.
She didn't let him get away with anything.
No, she doesn't. I mean, you know, she gets him to admit, I spent the money on traveling and the rest on myself. And she said, you know, I have to bring up 14-year-old Taylor. I have to bring him up because here was this bright-eyed kid who looked up to you, was so excited, thought that you were going to change his life, and you stole all the money. Because I don't know if we explained this, but basically Kyle acted as the middleman for investors into Taylor's business. But all of that money that would come in, he diverted into his own pockets. Basically, she's trying to hold him accountable to that. And then he tries to twist the story, saying like, well, you know, they approached me. But then he changes his story and admits that he approached Taylor.
She's masterful, I have to say.
Oh, well, he gets cagey because she calls him out on it.
She would ask him questions like, what did you spend money on? And he would say transportation. Bitch, you didn't take the Amtrak to Savannah, Georgia. You bought 24 automobiles. Is that what transportation means to you?
Y'all, he bought 24 cars in 4 years. What are you going to do with 24 cars?
The car thing was ridiculous. It made me feel important. It made me feel famous. The fame, the notoriety, and the money to me was like a drug.
But he's still downplaying how much he stole.
He even didn't say the word steal. Remember, he said something like, once I acquired enough money or accumulated enough money, and Laci's like, bitch, you stole it. You didn't acquire anything. And again, she catches him. Like, this man stole from hard-working people and children, for that matter, which, great, you don't discriminate. Like, you know, are you a senior citizen? I'll take your money. Are you a child? I'll take your money. Are you a single mom? I'll take your money. But still, he was almost PR spinning his crimes even after he was caught and served time.
Also, the reality of it. I don't think that this man has allowed himself to really let the full scope of his actions sink in that I'm sure that there were people in this town who dipped into their life savings, perhaps all of their life savings, thinking that they were going to get more. I mean, why wouldn't they? You know, thinking they were going to invest and that now I can take care of my grandkids, you know, things like that. So I don't think that this man has fully allowed himself to feel the repercussions or the ripple effect, the true ripple effects of his actions, because how could he even show his face?
I agree.
You know?
And he also said it with his own mouth. He basically said, in the grand scheme of scheming, $2 million isn't that much money. So here, even the horse lady stole, like, what did she steal? 30 million or something like that?
50 million.
And this guy's over here with 2 million. So I think he sort of convinced himself. He qualified, well, it's only 2 million. I mean, there's like scammers who are stealing like 20 million, 25 million. And Laci was like, you do not feel any remorse. I don't feel remorse reverberating off you. And it's interesting because I said this to you off mic. I felt like the power of her words were really landing on him. I don't know. Like, I felt what she was saying was impacting him, but you didn't think so, right?
No, I felt like this man was beaten down with the truth and realized I could do one of two things. I could double down and be an asshole on camera, because I'm on camera right now, or I can be like, yeah, you're right, and pretend to be this sort of apologetic, changed man. I wasn't buying that for a fucking second.
Well, that's why you own sus.com.
On December 6th of 2016, I got a target letter from the FBI.
For those of you who've never gotten one, a target letter means that the feds are coming for you. And this might be the end of the road.
So he knew he had to get the fuck out of there. And it was that day that he went to Roadhouse. Not Roadhouse, because that's a movie that Patrick Swayze starred in. He went to Roundhouse and told them he was shutting it down. He also wrote bad checks on his last day after telling his employees they no longer had a job, because I'm sure he was trying to be like, I feel bad and maybe I can get out of this situation a little easier if I'm like, but here's your final checks of what I owe you, knowing that they would bounce. So basically he violated these folks on his way out.
And Laci calls him out for that too. She's like, they were already down. You were trying to look like the good guy, trying to pay your debts. You knew they were down. You knew you had no money. And still, you kicked him again. And he explains to Laci, I didn't have any money left. And I'm going to let Laci say this part because she says it really well.
If you didn't have any money left, then why write a check that your ass can't cash?
I guess I don't have a good answer for that. I mean, I
don't need a good answer. I just want the truth.
Maybe he's got a good answer. Let's just listen.
Because I wanted to get out of town. So here, let me write you this check and get out.
The interesting part of this whole sit down is that Laci basically tries to explain a bit of humanity to Kyle. She tries to understand how Kyle was able to do such horrible things to these people. These aren't faceless people on the internet. Remember the guys who were calling with the coin scam? These aren't faceless people. These were your friends. These were your coworkers. They walked through your door. They shook your hand. They named a fucking day after you, dude.
Yeah.
They looked up to you. You mentored them. And she really made it a clear point in saying, you know, none of these people, when I spoke to them, mentioned money. They mentioned how hurt and betrayed they were, that their friend, their colleague, their mentor, their neighbor that they trusted would then leave them devastated like that. She wanted him to understand the human side of the mistakes that he had made. And, you know, now there's no more small talk. They both have sort of taken down their facades. And this was the moment I felt like she deeply impacted him. Maybe I'm just a sucker, because she listed all the lies that he told and all the people who believed him. And I don't know if this man truly is an impeccable bullshit artist, but this is what he says.
I mean, I'm sorry that I did this. I did hurt a lot of people. I hurt people that were my friends.
Keep going. Keep going with your confession, baby. Let's go.
I mean, they were so welcoming to me, and I took advantage of it, and I'm sorry about that.
Is there more in there?
I genuinely feel like I owe them something. I'm sorry that I did what I took advantage of really good people.
And Laci's like, time's up.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically where the interview ends. And it's funny because even Laci says off camera, yeah, this man is a sociopath. I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I agree. I don't know that he's a sociopath. There is definitely something there, but this man is deeply, deeply manipulative. I actually think that you can't get to the age that he's at and unlearn that. I don't know where he learned it. I don't know how he learned it. I know that it is woven into every fiber of his being.
Yeah, we could talk about it more when I tell you some other stuff that I researched offline. But Laci does not seem very satisfied with this interview at all, and she seems really shaken up. I don't think that she's come face to face with many of these scammers. You know, somebody who is so capable of masterminding this whole thing, a town, really nice people. And I think she was very emotionally invested in this story, and you can tell she was shaken. I did not get the sense that she was very pleased with the way the conversation went. Did you think the same thing?
I did. You know what's crazy is what really struck me was when Kyle said, I felt like it was a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation.
Yeah.
You and I have both seen people in show business, only a handful of times, but like people who truly presented themselves publicly as one way, super charismatic, super empathetic, or charming, or, you know, whatever. And then behind closed doors, they are the antithesis of that. And you are like truly Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And you're thinking like, if people only saw what I am looking at right now, it would be a game changer, right? There are people out there who are very capable of this. I think that Kyle, through whatever, maybe it's a learned behavior, maybe it's his upbringing, I don't know what it is. I don't believe a thing that comes out of this man's mouth. I think that he will be a scammer for the rest of his life.
More on that later. So to end the episode, we learned that some good things have come out of the fall of the Roundhouse. Emily Bass invited Laci to collab, which is in the old Roundhouse workspaces, and it's a new vision of what collaborative work can look like. And it came from the demise of the old company, and Emily is there to greet Laci. It's beautiful, open space, very modern, really chic. They have snacks.
Yeah, they do. I mean, basically, she took Kyle's idea and legitimized it. And they're doing well. I mean, this town is finding its way back. It's a beautiful thing.
I have to say, like, I'm truly, like, really proud of you. Like, to come out of someone, like, trying to scam and be deceptive and then actually make something that is rooted in community, that's really impressive.
You know, you and I have always worked in the same way, and I don't know if it does working in the Broadway world. You know, we always say rising tides raise all ships. We've always been collaborative and helpful with our friends, both in Broadway, podcasting. We don't gatekeep. Our success is others' success. Others' success is our success. And I love that about collaborative work. You know, I'm going to help you today and you're going to help me tomorrow. So I love that idea of being in a space, you know, if it's creative people, if it's people involved in animation or art or graphic design, and they can all help each other. I love that. But everybody involved needs to be of the like mind in order for something like that to truly work. And it does feel like with Emily running the ship that it already has a positive spin on it. And it's kind of like, I would imagine there's a sign on the door that says no bad attitudes allowed. And I love that because, you know, that's the best way to work, to write. Or you and I will help each other with sides, or help me with this, or I'm stumped here, or you're writing a song, or I'm writing one of our silly songs. And it's always better together. But everybody has to be of the like mind for that to succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I have no notes. I have nothing to add to that other than, yeah.
I would love to be in a place like that. I love being the dumbest person in a room. When I used to do Turning the Tables, my YouTube series, my web series, I loved being in that room because, number one, funniest joke wins. I would say something, and then Julia Madison would say something. I'd be like, nope, keep that. No ego. Best idea wins. And, you know, Kyle did admit it. He said my ego took over, and you absolutely cannot let that happen.
Speaking of Kyle, he's found a new hustle. Being an influencer.
At Federal Prison Tips, we help you navigate the waters of federal prisons.
I checked him out on TikTok. He has 31.3 thousand followers. Now, what I learned about looking at his TikTok was a couple things. Number one, when he was arrested in Texas, he was married to 3 women at the same time.
Lovely.
He got married in prison. Not Love After Lockup style, though. He married an inmate named Cody.
Nice.
Yep. He came out as gay and married his now husband, Cody, April 23rd, 2021. His TikTok is all about surviving in federal prison, and he has talked about his run on Scam Goddess. Now, this is what Joey and I were talking about off mic. I think the interesting thing about this scam is that I do believe Kyle's part of the story where he says he did not set out to be a scammer. He did set out with every good intention and everything that Roundhouse was, but the money, the fast money, the greed, people believing him because he had this fake resume Google thing on there. He was completely driven by ego and greed and money. And then I think his plan shifted. That doesn't make him any less of a scammer or more of a scammer, but it kind of shows me how a scammer can be born almost. Does that make sense?
I mean, knowing that he was scamming before and then he came in with this idea and maybe he really thought like, I'm going to turn my life around. And then, old habits, picking those up.
Well, I reached out to him on TikTok, so we'll see if he responds. I would love to have a sit down with Kyle. I think I would be more comfortable being on Zoom than Laci was face to face. I think Laci did a fantastic job.
She did. But also, I watched a couple of his TikToks and he was like, so I was on Scam Goddess. And I'm like, why are you saying this like it's a good thing? It's really, get ready with me while I commit fraud. Go eat my ass. I don't give a fuck about you. Yeah, it's a hard no for me.
Yeah, say something funny.
Since we're talking about being an entrepreneur and starting businesses, startups, I think I might invest in an e-mall where everyone at the mall is on ecstasy. You can go to the Bath & Body Works and you can light up a mahogany teak wood candle, have it blown in your face with a little bit of Vicks Vapor Rub while you hear Sandstorm. Maybe some glow sticks. I'll work on it. Go to the Hot Topic, get some suspenders. I feel like I'm not, this is not a good pitch.
No, I think... I believe in you.
What's that e-mall full of? Drugs?
Poppers.
Clowns on ketamine?
Down, bitches! We have one more episode of Scam Goddess, and then we're going to cover the other two over on Patreon because we just love a good scam and we love this show so much. If you would like to check out the coverage that we have over there, we got Gypsy Rose Blanchard over there, we got Love After Lockup over there, we got Pink Collar Crimes, we got How I Met Your Mother, How I Got Away with It, Who the Bleep Did I Marry, Fear of Thy Neighbor, so many, hundreds of things. You could get all the way from Opelika, Alabama to Russia driving and listen to all of our episodes, and you couldn't even get through all of them.
So just head on over to patreon.com/IThinkNot. Also, please follow us on all social media platforms. You can also find us there at IThinkNotPod. We are on YouTube. Episodes drop every Friday morning. Please like, subscribe, and follow. It really helps us out a lot. And you can also find us there at IThinkNotPod. Join our Facebook group at I Think Not Podcast Facebook discussion group where you can keep up to date with all of our news. And what am I missing? Am I missing anything?
If you feel like giving us a 5-star review on Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, or all of them, we sure would appreciate it. We love doing this. We love our Down Bitch community. And it absolutely warms our heart when you tell us, I told my coworker about you two loudmouths, and now she loves you two loudmouths. You can leave out the loudmouth part. The loudmouth is implied. We already know that part. But it just warms our heart. Don't forget, we have lots of offerings, lots of things out there for you. We've got Patreon, we've got social media, but don't forget, every Wednesday, no matter what, we are going to be here, live, and for free in your general feed every Wednesday, so don't forget to subscribe.
And yeah,
I love you, Joey.
I love you, too, Eleanor Emotion. I love you,
Dope bitches. Bye.
Is that an emo?